Everyone there? All right. So it's 4 o'clock. We're going to wait just 1 or 2 more minutes for everyone to kind of check in. We've got at least 60 or so people that are going to be here today. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes and then we're going to get everything started. If you can do me a favor, if you read the little paragraph I put up on top, kind of gives you a little bit of what we're going to do and how. I'm going to present for about 20 minutes on this topic matter. And then at the end of that 20 minutes, I'm going to answer any questions that you have. But what I'm going to ask you to do is, as I go through and I present, if you have questions during it, don't hold them to the end. Go ahead and post them right away, but post them in caps if you don't mind. That way it'll be easier for me to find them when I go back up and easier for me to read when I do find them. I promise you every single question that you post, I will be happy to ask. There's a lot of material that we're going to be covering here, so I assume there's going to be a good amount of questions. I'm happy to do follow-up on that after, but it should be a good presentation, really helping to make this more effective for you. So I'm just going to wait about another 30 seconds or minute to let everybody check in, and then we'll get everything started, all right? So let's see who's coming in now. We've got people from all around the world who signed up for this. I had people from India and from Japan and Europe and all throughout the United States, so we've got a lot. Hey, Randy, how are you? Hello, Brandon. Jackie's here. Ayumi. Let's see, Ayumi. It's 5 a.m. over in Japan, Ayumi, so you're up nice and early. Brian's here. Lewis, there you go. Brenda, how are you? Dave Stewart. Good. All right, cool. So we're going to get everything going. Hey, Mavis. Tim, how are you, brother? Good to see you, man. Want to see more photos of your daughter? Haven't seen them in a while. Got to see more of them. So we're going to talk today about what's called the multiplier effect. Now, the multiplier effect is not a BNI term. It's actually a business term used in marketing. So we're going to kind of jump right in and get started with that as people are joining us. The multiplier effect, in case you don't know, the multiplier effect is a term that's used in marketing. And basically what it means is using multiple mediums of marketing to get your message out. Right? So people who, let's say, use radio, television, direct mail, whatever else it is, they're using multiple mediums. Now, the reason that that's being done is what's happened is called the multiplier effect, which means you not only are you using multiple mediums to market yourself, but the effect that you're going to have when you do that will multiply itself. And again, I'm just going to make up numbers now, but let's just say if you did television advertising and you got 1,000 people to see you, and you did radio and you got 500 people to see you, then you're saying, well, if I do both of them, I'll get 1,500 people to see me. And the reality is it actually multiplies itself. When you have multiple mediums, people see more and more. It's not just adding together, they actually multiply together. That's what makes it so powerful. And you've actually seen this and participated in it. In fact, this time of the year, a great example would be car companies. Whenever we get to about June, car companies are already thinking about 2019. Now, they may not be advertising 2019 yet, but what they're doing is saying, you've got to start moving these 2018 cars out in the next 3 months because we're going to start giving you the 2019 cars. So what ends up happening is right now, this time of the year, you'll see a lot of car companies have incredible specials going on from the model makers. So they'll be giving $1,000 and $5,000 back and 0% financing, all types of great incentives because they want you to buy those cars now, because they know when we go into summer slump, it's not going to happen. When we get to the fall, they've got to get rid of those 2018 cars, 19. So what are you seeing now? You're watching TV, and then all of a sudden the car commercial comes on. It talks about the incentives and what's going on with those incentives. And then you're in the car and you hear it on the radio. And then on your mobile phone, the ad comes up when you're somewhere. And then when you're looking on the web and you're going through, all of a sudden those pop-up ads come up and their advertisements are coming there as well. Every type of medium they can use, they use, and they do it very effectively. So that multiplier effect really works well in marketing for all different businesses. And it's something that's been used for years. So if we take that and use that as a business principle for BNI, we can do the exact same thing in BNI. In fact, we should be doing the same thing in BNI. We should be using the multiplier effect. We have to use, let's call it our BNI multiple mediums of getting our message out. And by doing that, we'll have a greater effect. So what are the multiple mediums that I'm talking about? Well, we can start with open networking in the meeting. That's a medium of marketing. It's not a rival time. In open networking, in that time when you're out there, you're supposed to be getting to know people better. They're supposed to get to know you better. Try and ask more effective questions. We're going to talk more in detail about these things in a little bit, but that's an area where you can actually have meaningful conversation versus like, how about that NBA game last night? Oh, this weather is just crazy, or whatever else it is. Those are nice conversations, but they shouldn't be the regular ones. You want that when you sit down, let's assume it's a 7 a.m. to 8:30 meeting, when you sit down at 7:15, that you've already accomplished something effective in the first 15 minutes. So that's the first medium that we can use, is the open networking. The second is your weekly presentation. Obviously, this is the most obvious one of the most important ones, because it's the thing that's repetitive every single week, and it's the way you get your message across. In fact, the claim that I make is that if I were to allow you to be a BNI member, and that means you participate in a 90-minute meeting, and I were to allow you to participate in 89 minutes, but I were to take 1 minute away from you, and that 1 minute would be your weekly presentation, I'm going to tell you that I think your BNI membership would almost be worthless, because that's what you paid for. You paid to stand up in front of people and tell your story, who you are, what you do, what a good referral is for you, what are good referral sources, how to recognize it, how to get in that conversation, how to introduce me. That's how you do it every week. That's your repetitive way of making that happen for you. If I take that away from you, you really have no other opportunity in the meeting to do that. So that's obviously the most important aspect of your meeting, is to make sure you're doing that effectively, and the most important medium. We're going to talk more about that. And then we talk about the member spotlight, or whatever particular name you happen to use for it, the member feature presentation. Okay, and that's that, depending on the size of your chapter, that 5, 8, 10 minutes that you stand up. And the way I describe that to people really quickly is, all your feature presentation or your spotlight it's your weekly presentation, 5, 8, or 10 minutes long. It's the exact same thing. The same fundamentals go to it. You may change it depending on your maturity in the chapter, but again, it's that another medium that we get our message across to people. Okay, next is testimonials. When you're giving testimonials, now it's not a testimonial about you, it's about people in the chapter. We're going to talk for a second about how does this fold in as a medium of your marketing, because it's establishing credibility and character of who you are when you give a testimonial. So we'll talk about that in a second. And then one-to-ones. Obviously, outside of the meeting, doing one-to-ones with people, an extremely important medium in BNI to market yourself, that you're there to sit and try and learn about those people, but they're there to learn about you, and you have to make sure these different mediums are working together. So I'm going to go through them, then we're going to talk about how they work together. Okay, then I have the seventh one is what I call, the sixth one is power teams. Your power teams may exist in your chapter, your contact spheres may exist, but are they actually working as power teams? Are you actually working together and giving each other business on a regular basis? I know a lot of chapters in a lot of regions that have great power teams filled with 4, 5, 6, 8, or 10 or more people. But are the power teams actually working? Are they actually passing more business than the rest of the people in the chapter? Very few are, and they need to start doing it more effectively. So we'll talk about how we make that work as well. And then there's what I call referral commitment meetings. Now, a referral commitment meeting is actually the exact same thing as a one-to-one with a different mindset. I'm going to call a one-to-one when I first get to know you, and I'm trying to get to know you better and your business better, and we're learning about each other, and we want to refer each other business, and that's fine. So I'm using a one-to-one as kind of the beginning of doing one-to-ones with somebody. But when you do your second or third or fourth one-to-one, now make it a referral commitment meeting. What that means is go to the one-to-one with the mindset of, I'm committing to have referrals for this person at the end, or committing to developing referrals for them. Doesn't mean you're going to have referrals right there because you haven't spoken with anybody yet, but you may have contacts, connections, and leads that you can help develop into referrals to people. So I'm making referral commitment to you in this meeting that we're having, and at the end, I may have 2, 3, 4, 5 people that may be good potential referral sources or pieces of business for you. And by doing that, we're now going to work together over the next few months for me to develop that for you and for you to develop those for me. That's what I call a referral commitment meeting. Now, you may see the same thing as a one-to-one. I just consider it a little bit different. And then there's chapter roles, the role that you take on the chapter. Are you visitor host? Are you on the membership committee? Are you mentor coordinator? Are you one of the executive leadership team members? All of those, again, it's not about you going up and telling your story, but it's about establishing credibility and character. And we'll talk more about that, how that works together. And the final thing, the ninth one, is giving more than you receive. This is a very important medium in BNI to be using, because when you stand up and you're giving more and how you're giving, it establishes more credibility into you. So that's what I consider the 9 mediums. I'll run through them again for you quickly. Open networking, weekly presentations is number 2, member spotlight number 3, or member feature presentation, testimonials, one-to-ones, power teams, referral commitment meetings, chapter roles, and giving more than you receive. So let's talk about how do we make all of these work? Well, it's a great question. And obviously we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to try and give you the nuts and bolts of it. The first thing is, in any aspect of BNI, if you want people to understand more how they can get more business for you, you have to do your homework. You have to truly understand your business better, okay? And if you don't do that, it's not going to work. So before you even do that, what we have to do, before you even look at your business, you first have to establish the relationship and the trust. That's the foundation for building your success in BNI for as long as you're in BNI. And I use the word foundation very strategically, meaning if you're building the foundation for your house, that foundation, you don't just kind of build it once and then hope it's going to do it. You hope it's going to be okay. You build it and you want to make sure that it's going to stay there for years, for decades, holding that house. Because when that foundation moves or cracks, your whole house moves, and it can be devastating to your home, and you have to fix it. In BNI, building your relationship, building trust, building confidence with people, that's your foundation. And that always has to be looked at, maintained, and strengthened over the years. Don't think just because you've been in longer that foundation is stronger. It may have gotten weaker because of certain things that have happened within the chapter, certain things that you have said or done. A lot of times people don't tell you that maybe they don't have as much confidence in you anymore. So you have to kind of really focus on building that. So it's really about character, competency, education, and training. So that's the first thing you have to look at is my character. Am I doing things that people understand my character and my competency? The character, the type of person that I am. Am I honest, trustworthy, a person of good business ethics? Okay. And one of the ways we do that, as I talked above, we talked about different aspects that help. So when we talked about, what was the one? Number 4, testimonials. Testimonials is not about you educating about yourself, but it's about showing people the character that you have. How you give a good testimonial for somebody. Are you really just plugging yourself again? Or are you doing a great testimonial versus like, oh, I wanted to tell John, I want to give testimony for John. He gave me a referral. It was a great referral. Thanks, John. Like, what was that? A testimonial means you give a testimonial about that person. You invest in that relationship. You let people in the chapter know how wonderful and fantastic and great that person is, and that they should do a one-to-one and get to know them better, because this is a member we don't want to lose in our chapter. That's a way to give a testimonial, and it shows the character of the type of person that you are, okay? The same if you're going to take on a chapter role. In any role you take on the chapter, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, visitor host, chapter growth coordinator, doesn't matter. Any role you take on, you have to do to the utmost. Because if you don't do it to the utmost, and people have not done business with you, it goes back to the old saying that we've been using for years, the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything, even if it's not true. Meaning if I'd have never done business with you and all I see is that's the way that you do business, that's the way that you conduct yourself when you take on a role, then that's my impression of you. And that's how I have to imagine you are when you do your business. It doesn't mean it's true, but that's my perception. So when you take on a role in a chapter, that's a medium of marketing yourself to the chapter. So you have to do a fantastic role in terms of that. And as directors, we have to make sure we're coaching and helping our members to make the greatest impression of people. So that's about building character, trust, and confidence with the people in your chapter. And then giving more than you receive. I mean, that's what Giver's Gain's all about. This is not about I give 1, I get 1. I give 2, I get 2. You may give 4 and get 1. It's really about how you're doing in terms of giving to people in the chapter, giving qualified referrals to people in the chapter, and hopefully more referrals that actually close into business. Again, that shows the character of the type of person that you are. So we're talking about character, then we talk about competency, how good you are at what you do. That's going to come from people in the chapter giving testimonials, by people being impressed with you, the way you present yourself and your knowledge, and by you doing work for people and getting them to talk about you in terms of giving those testimonials and the word spreading throughout the chapter in terms of that. And then there's the education and training part. You have to be educating and training the people in your chapter on what a good referral is for you, how to recognize that referral, what to say, and then you have to give them stuff to say about you. So it's all stuff we already know. So how do we use this in the multiplier effect? Well, what we have to do is we have to start with understanding your business and what is it that you want to accomplish in your business in the next year. Meaning revenue-wise, how much money do you want to make in your business in the next year, and from what products or services do you want to make that money? And then you have to decide is, okay, now that I've established that, I'm very clear on what I'm going to make in my business in the next year, how do I want BNI to help me with that? So if I say in the next year, I want my business to make $500,000 gross sales, am I expecting BNI to give me $500,000? I mean, I'm sure I'm using other mediums to market myself and do sales. How much do I want BNI to be responsible for? 50,000, 100,000? I don't know. That's up to you. But now you have to say, so I want BNI to help me with this aspect of my business. I want it to generate this much revenue by helping me sell these particular products or these particular services. Once you're very clear on that, now you can start to say, okay, now I know how I'm going to best use BNI. So you have to really establish that with your business. You have to know your business really well, what you want to accomplish, and then you have to assign to BNI as the overlay of marketing what part you want them to help you with. Then what you have to do is really break down your weekly presentation into what I call the quarters of the year or your seasons. Like, let's just say this time of year. This time of year is, we're in June. So we're June, July, August, September. We're in those summer months. I don't know what that means to your business, but what is it you want BNI to help you with this time of year? And by the way, if you're looking for sales for the month of June and you're asking BNI to help you with sales for the month of June, you may not have a lot of luck with that. I mean, that's a really short time frame. Are you working far enough ahead? Do you really know what you want in the next 30, 60, 90 days? And are you asking for those things? So by being really clear and being specific, by knowing what you want in your weekly presentation and breaking that down for quarters and seasons, you're now going to be more strategic in what you're putting together. So when you know that, you know who you want. Now the idea is, how do I put the multiplying effect into place? Well, the weekly presentation is one of them. When you're going in and doing the open networking, are you asking people, hey, this time of year, what's really a good focus for you? What are you looking to come into? What would be the best type of client for you in the next 90 days if I could put them in front of you? What would be great referral sources for you you'd like to develop for either maybe this quarter or next quarter, going into the new season, the fall or winter season? Would you like some greater referral sources to help you then? Again, everybody's business is different. Some are more seasonal than others. Find that out about the people in your chapter. The open networking time is the way to do that. And then it allows you to speak about your business. And when you speak about your business, you don't want to speak randomly. You want to speak about what you're talking about in your weekly presentation, what your strategy is at that point. Because now you're talking about it in a weekly presentation and you're talking about it in your open networking. So now those two are starting to work together. Every week, you're going to have a deeper conversation with somebody in that first 15 or so minutes to really talk more about your business so they understand more about you. So each week, don't try to talk to the same people, right? Talk to different people each week because you're getting into their mind a little bit more, a little bit deeper, and you're helping to affect that multiplier effect now in your open networking and in your weekly presentation. When you do your member spotlight, I've seen people do this a lot. They're focused on one particular area of their business, and they're really focused on that, and their member spotlight comes up, and they go to something totally different. What are you doing? Why would you do that? If I'm focused right now on getting in a certain type of business in the next 90 days, and now it's time to do my member spotlight, why would I talk about something different, my feature presentation? I want to be consistent with my weekly presentation. I want to be consistent with what I'm talking about in open networking, because now they're all working together. You may hear what I say week after week for 1 minute, but now I have 5 or 8 or 10 minutes to go even deeper into it. Won't that help me more if I get you to understand how to recognize business better, how to have a conversation, how to introduce me, to let me know the types of contacts and connections and leads that you might have that we could work together at developing into referrals? That's how you need to use that member spotlight, and it multiplies the other part of the effectiveness of what else you're doing. And now you go to your one-to-ones. You're doing your one-to-ones, or let's call it referral commitment meetings, either of them. You're going to do that. When you have that one-to-one meeting, that referral commitment meeting, when you go there with that mindset, when the person is talking, asking you about your business, don't go on a tangent to other things. Give some overview in the first few minutes, but get focused on the things that you're talking about for that season. for that time of year or for that sales focus that you have at that time. Again, they've been hearing a certain thing from you for the last X number of months, right? Weekly presentation, talking about particular products, sales, a certain customer that you're looking for, target markets you're going after. Now you have them for a one-to-one. You want to educate them and train them that much more. Take what you have and help it penetrate deeper because you have them focused on you and you're focused on them. And you want to do the same thing for them. You want to ask them deeper questions about them and their business and how it relates to whatever they've been talking about in the chapter. You're going to have a deeper understanding about them. So now we're starting to multiply the effect because in open networking, in my weekly presentation, right, in my member spotlight, and now in my one-to-ones and referral commitment meetings, now I'm starting to talk about the same thing over and over. And then I have a power team meeting. So maybe you have a formal power team meeting with everybody in your power team, or if not, contact 2 or 3 of the people in your power team, have a breakfast meeting with them, have a lunch meeting with them, and talk about, hey guys, where are you at this time of the year? What are you looking to focus on? And really get the same thing out of them. And then share with them exactly what you've been sharing in the chapter, but deeper. And these are people who theoretically, if they're in your power team, should be passing you more business and you more to them. And remember, some of the best referrals are not direct pieces of business. Some of the best referrals are going to be referral sources, not direct referrals. And that's what those people could give you. And if you're doing that in the power team, now you're affecting it even more in what you're doing. Okay? And if we focus on that, now we're using those different mediums within BNI to make a difference. But what I see is people are using these different aspects of BNI, different mediums that we have, and saying different things at different times. It's not bringing it all together. We need to have that focus. But you can't have that focus unless you start with knowing what you want out of your business, specifically in the next year. Break it down quarterly or by season, and then designing your weekly presentations to get that across and have everything else lining up with that weekly presentation. That's the quick, very quick overview of what the multiplier effect can do if we know exactly what we want, that every conversation that we have in BNI, every communication that we have is consistent, and you're making all of your different presentations, everything that you come together in BNI, more effective for people. Even when you email them, you can be focusing it. Maybe a line on the bottom that says, a great referral for this time of the year is. Things along those lines. Make sure you're doing it both ways. So let me stop now and see what questions you might have, and then we can answer more questions and go through as I can, okay? All right, so let me start going through here. I've got Michelle. When you video on regional Facebook pages. When you finish, do you mind if we share this video on regional Facebook pages? Absolutely not. This is here for everyone to use. It becomes an instant video after. I know that Megan has asked me that we could take these Facebook Live videos and get them on BNI University. So we're working on that now. They'll go up there, but you can take these and use these anywhere you want, however you want. The more we can get the message out to members and directors, the better. So let's see what other questions I have here. If you have other questions, please go ahead and write them in. Hey, Yuji, how are you, man? Going up, hold on. Going. All right, good. All right, so someone's asking, how do we, and I got to finish up in a couple minutes. When we're saying we're using the multiplier effect, I'm kind of rewording what they wrote. We're using the multiplier effect. How do we see that the weekly presentation is really working with that feature presentation or member spotlight? Well, again, it's about strategy. If you really want BNI to work for you, you first have to work on your business. You have to know what you want out of your business in the next year, and I mean specifically. So like I said at the beginning, let's say you have a goal of making $500,000 for your business, just to use a number, okay? So I'm gonna sell $500,000 worth of stuff in the next year. Okay, but what stuff am I going to sell? Is it products? Is it services? Is it both? So let's say I have 5 different products and services, or let's just call it 5 different products for argument's sake. Okay, so out of those 5 products, am I going to sell, out of the 5 products, A, B, C, and D, and E, right? A, B, C, D, E, and I'm going to sell those 5. Is A going to be 100,000 in sales, B 100,000 in sales, C, D, and E all 100,000? Or am I going to say, no, no, no. A, I'm going to sell like 300,000. B, I'm going to sell 100,000. The other 3, I'm going to sell 30,000 each if I added that up right? So now it gives us an idea, right, of what of the breakdown of what I'm going to sell. So now I can go and I look at it and say, okay, these are the products I'm going to sell. This is the revenue I'm going to make in each of those categories. And now the question is, how much do each of those products sell for? So how many units of those products do I need to sell to get to 300,000 or 100,000 or 30,000? Now I know that, right? It's a basic business plan of your business. But once you now know that about your business, then you say, okay, this has nothing to do with BNI right now. This is with your business. Once you know that, now what you have to do is say, okay, what part of this do I want BNI to work with me on? Once you know those things and you're putting together your weekly presentation, then when you do your member spotlight, what I said before is don't go off on a tangent. Don't start talking about something else or going technical. I had a guy the other day, true story, had a guy the other day who's a plumber, and he brought in a unit, some type of, I don't know, plumbing unit, and he opened it up and he started going through the unit and talking about the technology and what it was. Well, here's what I learned. I learned in 8 to 10 minutes that this guy is extremely knowledgeable about plumbing and this technology, and he's a very bright guy and very good at what he does. Here's what I didn't learn. I have no idea who that's good for. I have no idea what client he wants. I don't know how to recognize it. And at the end of his presentation, my real response was, who cares? Why do I care about the internal workings of that machine? It does nothing for me. I'm not buying that. That's not what I need to know. I'm never going to talk to anybody about that. What I want to know is cover the technical side in like 2 minutes and then tell me, who would this be good for? What type of person? What's your target market? How would I recognize it? How would I get into that conversation with them? And if that's what you've been talking about in your weekly presentation, now you can go deeper and help me really learn in that next 8 or 10 minutes. That's what helps me. So if we can get people to have the consistent conversations in open networking, in weekly presentations, in their member spotlight, in their one-to-ones and referral commitment meetings, in their power team meetings, if they're doing that consistently, now all of a sudden the multiplier effect goes into place. Because now I'm hearing the same thing in a different way, and it's going to start to reach me. We've got to get the members doing that, being more strategic in their conversations versus just throwing it out there. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So again, let me know if you have any questions right now before we kind of finish up in the next minute or two. I know I've covered a lot and want to go through it again. I hope you got able to take those notes. So somebody's asking, could you go through the multiplier list again? So sure, let me go through my multiplier list. There was 9, the different multipliers in BNI. Open networking, where you're going to have open conversations with people, but be strategic about them. Number 2, your weekly presentation, right? So we all know what that's about. Your 60 seconds are going, again, being strategic of what you're going to say. The member spotlight or member feature presentation, where basically you have your, whatever, depends on the size of your chapter, 5, 8, or 10 minutes to really talk about, again, deeper the strategic aspect of the business that you want to be selling at that time. Testimonials, which is a multiplying effect in terms of your character and your credibility, not necessarily in giving them knowledge how to get you business. Number 5 is your one-to-ones. Again, keeping those focused on what is the strategy of growth you want right now and making sure you're having that conversation with them. Number 7 was referral commitment meetings, which I just consider they're the same as one-to-ones, but you're coming with a different mindset that when I leave this meeting, I'm committing to developing referrals for each other. And I want to see us developing more than just finding or recognizing. We can talk about that in a different one. Okay, and then chapter roles. That's a multiplying effect because when you take on a chapter role and you do an outstanding job at that chapter role, you increase your professionalism, you increase your reputation, and you increase your credibility of the chapter and your character, and that's getting people to understand, wow, he must be really good at his business. Look what he did in this role. Okay, and the 9th thing was giving more than you receive. Okay, that's extremely important that you focus on giving to people in the chapter, have conversations, ask questions. The things that I'm asking you to do here, and you have to ask yourself questions to say, how can I do that more effectively? Ask them those questions. Get that information from them so you see how you can give more to them. Lead by example. If you do it to them, they're more than likely going to do it for you. So I hope this made sense to everybody. Again, the multiplier effect is not a BNI term. It's a marketing term used in business, and we use that same principle in BNI to make the whole meeting more effective to you. We give members lots of tools, lots of resources, but are we giving them the support they need to fully understand how to make this work? I hope you got some great value out of this. Again, this automatically goes to its own video after. You're welcome to share this anywhere that you want. Please make some comments on it so people know if you thought it was good or not. And if you have any other specific questions, feel free to either message me on Facebook or email me directly. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Take care.